Look at me.
Yeah.
It is 4 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting of the City of Palatka Planning Board to get to order. November the 4th. We're going to call it to order. I guess I'll do the invocation. Andy, will you do the pledge of allegiance?
Yes.
Please stand if you're able. Let us
I'm
pray.
here. I am here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'm sorry, Pastor. Go ahead.
That's okay. Father, give you thanks and praise again for the opportunity to come before your presence. We thank you for how you blessed us all day long. You strengthened us. You encouraged us. You allowed us to come together once again. Pray, God, that your blessing be upon the heads of these leaders, that you would give them wisdom in this hour, God. Our nation needs you, God. We need your directions in all that we undergird to do. Father, we pray that you will help us to make the decisions that will move us forward in a good place in this city. We pray, God, for your divine intervention. Help those, God, that need help. Bless those that need to be blessed. We give you praise for all you do for us continuously. In Jesus' name we pray. Thank God. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Please join
Bless
me
you,
in
sir.
the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please have a seat.
Oh.
Alex, would you please call the roll for us, please?
Certainly. Edie Wilson,
Here.
Chase Barnes,
Not here.
absent for the record. Earl Wallace,
Here.
Andrew Burnett,
Here.
Ed Killebrew,
Here.
George Deloach, excused for the record. We have quorum.
We miss Mr. Dolan.
Tom Dolan. We have quorum.
Thank you.
It's gonna be hurt the entirety.
I apologize.
I'll now read the appeals and procedures and ex parte communication. Any person wishing to appeal any decision made by the planning board with respect to any matter considered as at such meeting will need a record of the proceedings, and for such purpose may need to ensure that verbatim record of the proceedings is made, which record includes the testimony and evidence upon that which the appeal is to be based. Florida statutes 286.0105. Can I have an approval for of the minutes for November or September 2nd, please? That was-
I'll make a motion.
You know, you going to
Okay,
second
so
it?
well, okay,
Okay,
yes.
moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Passes unanimously. I told you where she was, so we gotta just put up with her. Okay. Let me find my. I guess that's what I was at. Sorry. Okay,
It's 2045. It's gonna start in 2045. It's gonna be good.
Edie, I hadn't got there yet. So, public comments, is there anybody here wish to speak to the board outside of what we're going to talk about today? That case, you have 3 minutes and no action should be expect to be taken by the board on those items. Yes, Ms. Kitchens?
No public comment, just a question. Will we be allowed to speak during the presentation or after it?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it's because
Okay.
it's a public thing.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
All right. Okay, well, do I see nobody else speaking? Well, we'll move on to our regular business, the approval of the City of Palaka's comprehensive plan update.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I'd like to introduce Kathy Eva from JB Pro. They're our consultants who work with us in the update to the comprehensive plan. We are really in the last stretch of the process that we started over 2 years ago, probably 2.5 years ago. If you remember, we went through a vision planning process, and after that, we started the update to the comprehensive plan. So now we're in the final stretch. This is the first public hearing for the update to the comprehensive plan, all the elements of the comprehensive plan. After this, it's going to go to the city commission for transmittal hearing, and probably 2 or 3 months later, it's going to come back for final adoption. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Kathy, and she's going to go over the presentation today.
Okay, thank you. Floor is yours, Miss Kathy.
Good afternoon. It's nice to be back. For the record, I'm Kathy Eba. I'm a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners College of Fellows. And we have been working with your staff for about a year on this project. I'd like to, it's the next step towards the update of all of your planning documents. The next step after this will be the update of your land development code. So next. So today we're going to go through 4 major components. We're going to go through a little bit about the project background. We're going to go through the comprehensive plan and each of the elements and the proposed updates. And then we're going to conclude with anticipated next steps. So a little bit about the project. As Lorenzo just mentioned, we began this effort with a vision plan, or you did, that was done by the North Florida Regional Planning Council. Then a grant was obtained last year or earlier this year for a comprehensive plan, technical assistant grants for the update of the comprehensive plan. We started that, the vision plan was approved by the city council, and then we started the work on the comprehensive plan about a year ago. In June 2025, we were told that the grant was substantially met, and we have continued to complete the work directly with staff. This project has been managed by Lorenzo with Nick Hill of our offices, the 2 project managers. I have acted as the principal in charge with a planner of ours doing work behind the scenes. And then Edward Ning from the Cordino Group has done the transportation components of this project. So what is a comprehensive plan? In a nutshell, a comp plan is your master plan for your city. It is all of the items that a city might have to deal with, from future land use and transportation to capital improvements, historic preservation, economic development. It is a comprehensive document that really looks at a high level. If you think of a funnel, it's at the very top of the funnel, a high level of all of the items that the city might work on. Then as we move forward, we will update your land development code, which would be the next step. That takes the high level comprehensive plan and brings it into code language that can be implemented. And then the final step is the site and development projects and permitting. So this is the top of the funnel for for how we develop land and develop our city, thinking about all the many issues that we could have, whether they're future land use and mobility, recreation and open space, conservation, capital improvements, historic preservation, economic development. Those 2 are optional elements that the city has decided is important to the city of Palatka, and therefore has created elements or chapters in their comprehensive plan to address those. So as part of this effort, even though the vision plan was done prior to the updating of the goals, objectives, and policies, we held 2 open houses, one in September, one in October, to go through all of the policy changes and make sure that the direction that we have undertaken in the policy changes reflects the vision that was established. And there are 3 types of updates. The first one is maintaining consistency with the Florida statute. The second is implementing your vision. And thirdly is aligning with best planning practices. So the way we're going to work today is there are up to 3 slides per element. Some of the elements only have 1 or 2 towards the end, but the beginning and the most meaty, most critical elements have 3. They go through that statutory change. They go through the the vision changes and they go through the best practices. I am going to, in order to move this conversation go through, and knowing that you've had this packet for quite a while now, because this presentation was originally to be given last month. I'm gonna focus in the first slide. And then if there are questions that you have, please feel free to stop me. We can have a discussion as we move through this document. That way, we can stay focused and move through it and as quickly as possible. There will be time at the end for the public to participate in that conversation. But at this moment, this conversation is here at the dais. So when we talk about our future land use, the future land use is guiding long-term vision for how land is to be developed. This is where you get your future land use element, your future land use map, which identifies by property what the use of a property could be. And it really sets a framework for how future zoning and future site planning will happen. The big takeaways for this element for the changes are, one, someone asked earlier, Ms. Wilson asked the question, what 2045 means. So this is in the future land use future land use element, but then it is continued throughout all of the updates. And that is that we are extending your planning horizon to 2045. So everything that we're looking at, whether it's population, or whether it's transportation facilities, whether it's your park facilities and your public utilities, we're looking at a horizon of what you have today provide for the growth of your community through the planning horizon of 2045. And as you know, by statute, we update our comprehensive plan once every 7 years. And that's because things are constantly changing. So the next time you did this, you would probably be extending your planning horizon to 2055 or somewhere around that period. So the big takeaways on future land use is, one, again, that extension. Two, that we're focusing in on mixed use development in the downtown. We have established a new future land use designation for the downtown area, but it's based on a zoning classification that already exists in your land development code. So we're just bringing forward that land development code zoning designation and creating a future land use designation that mirrors and complements that zoning designation. We also modified the PUD to ensure that PUDs are done only at times where it really matters, so that the PUD or that specialized zoning that happens with a PUD is only done at very specific times. The future land use category, the next slide. The future land use category, as I said, it's based on what's already in your zoning code, which is 20 dwelling units an acre of a floor area ratio of 4. The floor area ratio of 4 means that about 4 stories. We've also established some policies to promote a density bonus and incentives based on existing public infrastructure. Move forward. The next element is the housing element. The housing element is designed to create policies and a planning framework that improves the quality of your housing and the diversity of the types of housing. So the big takeaways on the improvements that we have done for the housing elements is, one, establishing policies that really talk about how to diversify your housing stock. 2, promote affordability, and 3, rehab substandard units so that they can be brought up to current codes. You can go forward. And you can go. So that is the housing element, unless there are any questions on the housing element. Okay, the next element is your transportation element. This is an element that was done by Ed Ning at the Corradino Group, as mentioned earlier. The big takeaway, the transportation element deals with all things access. How do you get around your community? Whether it's biking, walking, whether it's a boat ferry, whether it's roads and transportation, whether it's transit, any of those things, however allows for people to connect through the community. So the big takeaways on the improvements to the transportation element are, one, improving pedestrian and bikeability of your community as a whole and identifying the opportunities to do so. Improving the multimodal connections so that you can go from bike, walk, transit, and car, and even we've suggested some ideas on how you could reinstate a ferry, not only improving transportation, but improving some some ability for economic development and tourism. And then finally, as an overarching policy for transportation, we're recommending that the city update its long-range transportation plan. It has not been done in quite a while. That's an effort that would be that would exceed the comprehensive plan, but really is a next step. Just like updating your zoning code is a next step from your comprehensive plan, updating your transportation plan would be a next step for your comprehensive plan in order to implement fully the policies. Are there any questions about the transportation element? All right, the next element is the recreation and open space element. This element deals with all issues parks and rec. This element really looks at how to make sure that people have a high quality of life by accessing parks, whether they're owned by the city, the state, or if you had any federal parks in your city. I know you have one state park in your city. Also talks about how you can take advantage of the area along the waterfront with the St. Johns River and making sure that parks are accessible to people in all places. Recognizing that parks are really central to helping connect cities together. And they aren't just places that people go to recreate, but they're really places that help bring a community together. So the big takeaways on the changes to the parks and open space element is, one, updating your level of service standards for your parks and recreation spaces in the long term. This would be an effort that the city, again, implementation of your comprehensive plan would recommend some improvements to your level of service standards for parks and recreation, and specifically addressing 3 items. One is the management of your open spaces. The second one is the location or access to your parks and spaces, and then total space, which is right now what your level of service standard is mostly based on, which is total square footage or total acreage of your park space. And the reason that we're recommending the changes to the location is because it's about access. You can have a lot of acreage, you can have a lot of park space, but if it's not in places where people live, or it isn't distributed across the city and accessible to all people, it may not be as valuable a resource as it could be. Especially children being able to walk, being able to ride their bikes to a local park. It's really important. And it's something that we would recommend the city consider in the future, is really evaluating where your parks are and making sure that you provide for accessibility to all parks by updating your level of service standard to one that is based not only on total acreage, but also on accessibility. Any questions about the parks and open space? Yes, sir.
I think you indicated we should look at it closer.
What I'm suggesting not that you would have to make any changes to them, but that you would want to incorporate that into your level of service standard. So that it is maintained as it moves forward. As you continue to grow, as you continue to develop, that you will want to make sure that those parks are accessible to everybody. It's not saying that there's a problem with it today. If we felt there was a problem with it today, we would have recommended a change immediately. We're just saying that to memorialize what you already have, the good work you already have, that it would be a good idea to consider updating your level of service standard to reflect that. So today, your level of service standard is based on total acreage. It doesn't matter. All of that acreage could be in one place. It could be scattered throughout the community. It could be distributed evenly.
And it's scattered throughout the community.
So,
Pretty.
so all the level of service standard does, sir, is it would say that that moving forward as new development comes online, that needs to be maintained. So it's not saying that it's not happening today. It's just saying that as you grow, as you develop new areas, you will want to consider how that locational standard continues to be met. Yes.
City.
The city does, yes. That you have your own level of service. That is part of your comprehensive plan. It's a foundational element of the comprehensive plan, just as foundational to as your future land use map and your future land use designations. Your level of service standards are a foundational component that is found within your comprehensive plan, and you adopt them as part of your comprehensive plan. Usually to update them, especially if you were to do a significant update. So let's say, for example, you wanted to update your transportation level of service standards. That's where the land range transportation plan would come in play. If you were to update your parks level of service standards, that's where a parks study would come in play. So a specialized study that really looks at those issues on a very fine-tuned level. That's what you would do that. It would give you the justification then to update the level of service standard, but the level of service standard would be updated in your comprehensive plan. So are there any other questions about the parks and open space element?
Earl, did she answer your questions?
Yeah, I just don't want the city to get a ding that we don't deserve.
Right.
And it sounded like we were possibly getting one.
No, it's not. It's just saying that your current standard is strictly based on acreage, and it may be something that you would want to change in the future, just to reflect the current work that you have. It's not saying that what you're doing is bad. It's just saying that you would want, in order to maintain it, a level of service standard that deals not only with acreage, but also location might be appropriate. I've been a planner in Florida for over 20 years and have done a lot of comprehensive plans, both working for the local jurisdiction as a planner employed by this jurisdiction and as a consultant. And the acreage-based level of service standard has been very common, and it's been in probably the last 5-ish years that the best practices have changed so that level services for parks have that duality. They are both based on acreage as well as location. So what you have done is exactly what most jurisdictions across Florida have done traditionally. But the practice is changing.
And it's good.
And it's good.
Thank you.
Okay. The next element is conservation. So conservation deals with your environmental issues. This is about your natural resources. This is about your wildlife, your fisheries, anything that has to do with environmentally sensitive lands like wetlands. All of that is a part of your conservation element. And the big takeaways on the improvements here are establishing long-term regulatory incentives to preserve, protect, and restore. Preserve your native and your natural resources, protecting your vulnerable resources, and restoring any impacted lands that you have. Are there any questions about the conservation element? The next element is your public facilities element. This element is the element that deals with all of your utilities, your sewer, your water, your drainage, your solid waste, and your aquifer recharge areas. This does not deal with utilities that are not operated by the city or by a public entity. So this doesn't deal with electricity, for example. The big takeaways on the public facilities is that through this update to your comprehensive plan, you are adopting and implementing your water supply plan. You have also identified any needs for future changes to your capital improvement element. We also, your previous plan had your level of service standards that we've talked about previously. Each one of those was located in different places. So your parks level of service was in the parks element. The transportation level of service was in the transportation element, and the utilities-based level service standards were located here in the public facilities element. We have changed that and moved them all to your capital improvement element. And the reason that has been changed is because In the past, you had them both in your capital improvement element and in each individual element. So if one got changed and somebody forgot to make a change to the other, then now you've created an internal inconsistency within your comprehensive plan. So now everything is in one place. So if you make a change to that space, you don't have to worry that you have to make a second change somewhere else. Everything is changed in one location only. Are there any questions about the public facilities element? The next element is your intergovernmental coordination element. This is the element that deals with and recognizes that by itself, the city of Palatka needs to work with other partners, whether those partners are the Putnam County or the state of Florida, whether they're the school district of Putnam County, whether they're the regional planning council or the South Florida Water Management District or St. John's Water Management District. So the intergovernmental coordination element really talks about how the city of Palatka will work with all of those jurisdictions to promote collaboration on schools, population projections, and facility planning. The big takeaways from the intergovernmental coordination element, also known as the ICE element, is that we are recommending that you work long-term to develop an interlocal for services with Putnam County. And this would deal with things like boundaries. This would deal with things with like how to promote infill development or how to address a lot of the annexation areas and really understand how services can be better coordinated. It's also recognizing transportation and economic development partnerships and that those partnerships are critical to the future of the city. Any questions about the intergovernmental coordination element? The next of the required elements, oh, no, I'm sorry, there's two more requirements. The next required element is the capital improvement element. This is where I said before that we have moved all of the level of service standards. So before, as I mentioned, those were located both in this element as well as their individual element. We have moved all of the level of service standards to the capital improvement element. We've also adopted and implemented your 5-year capital improvement schedule as part of the update. Any questions about the capital improvement element? And then the final of the required element is the private property rights element. This is a new element since the last time you updated your comprehensive plan that is required by Florida statute. And the big takeaway of this is that this element establishes some policies and procedures and a framework for ensuring that each individual private property owner has ability to utilize their property in a way that they deem most appropriate working under the city's regulatory framework. All right, the next two elements are your two optional elements. The first one being the historic preservation element. This element recognizes that Palatka's history is very important to its future and looks to utilize that history in a way that helps promote the city moving forward. So the big takeaways is one, adaptive reuse. If you're not aware with what adaptive reuse means, it's utilizing an historic property in a way that is different than originally intended. So maybe you had a historic home and now you want to make it into a bed and breakfast, or you had a historic downtown building and you want to make it into an apartment complex or something like that. It's utilizing a property, maintaining the historic structure, but utilizing the property in a way that's different than it was originally constructed. And then creating public awareness through an educational campaign that really helps people understand the story of Palatka, understand the story and how Palatka's history is critical to its future. Any questions about your historic preservation element? And then your final element is another optional element. It's the economic development element. This is the element that talks about how to promote the economy for Palatka to make it a vibrant place, understanding that jobs and job development are critical to the future of the city. The big takeaways is one, that your Main Street and your downtown are critical to your future, that the Palatka Main Street is something that's really special, and that working with a program like Florida Main Streets or the like, is a way to help promote the Main Street area and make it as vibrant as it possibly can be. Because tourism is a critical part of the future of Palatka. You are perfectly situated in an idealistic location along the St. John River with a wonderful downtown Main Street. Happens to be one of the cities that I personally really love Palatka. I think Palatka is just a great gem waiting to happen, and a Main Street program which promotes the businesses and helps revitalize your Main Street downtown through tourism and incorporating the waterfront is an asset that not many cities have, and an opportunity that most cities wish they could take up.
Preach, sister.
Huh?
Preach it, yeah.
Preach it. I'm a big fan of your Main Street. I'm gonna tell you, I just
We don't
think,
have it. We're not designated. That's.
well, we work with, I actually I started my career as a Main Street director, so I'm a big fan of Main Street programs. I worked as a Main Street director early in my life when I was a much younger planner. And so and our firm continues to work with Main Streets. We think that Main Street would be a great asset to your community if you were to pursue it.
We do too.
Where do you live?
Where do I live currently? I live in Gainesville.
We got a nice little house in the south.
If I didn't have an aversion to an hour commute, which I used to do once upon in my life, but won't do again, I would take you up on that offer. So anyway, so that is the end. If are there any questions about your economic development?
Not the economic development, but about the proposed updates.
Okay, I'm just gonna finish real quick, just so you all understand the anticipated next steps for these updates. We are here today for your one and only hearing before this board. The next reading would be, is proposed for December 11th to City Commission. Then it will go to state coordinated review, which is a 60-day review period, and then to be adopted sometime in February. So now, open to questions, Mr. Dolan.
These updates, in the existing, not charter, but,
Comprehensive plan. Yes.
are these being added completely new, or are they just being revised for?
So there, Nick told me to tell you all of this, so I'm going to make sure I just so that I have witness that I said this. This is your new comprehensive plan. It is exactly 300 pages. That was not unintentional, but we did do it. It is exactly 300 pages. But most of it is just refining what you already have. We restructured a lot of it. Your previous document was hard to find. So we restructured, reorganized it so that someone can easily use the document, because it's not very usable if it's hard to understand where things are. That's where some like the level of service standards, moving them all into one place, that was part of a restructuring. We also looked at your goal, your objectives. You had a lot of objectives in each element. We reduced your number of objectives so that they could be more easily read. And the other major thing that we did, and that was probably most of the time that we spent on this, was we updated all of your data analysis. So all of the data here is fresh. This is all completely current. All of the information, all of the maps, everything that is in here is brand new. So the policies themselves are not vastly new. They are reorganized. So you may see a lot of strike through underlines and think, wow, there's a lot of changes here, but it's really restructuring. But the data analysis is all new. Other questions?
I have a couple.
Yes.
So currently the city is undergoing a charter review process. And the charter review committee is recommending a modification of the height limit outside of the historic areas to increase it from its current level of 3 stories. Should the updated comp plan reflect this, or wait until the next update? I mean, seems like an opportune time to not have to repeat that work.
Yeah, if that is a change that you're going to make and your height standards are in wherever they're reflective in your future land use element, you would want that change to be made now.
Okay.
And if you didn't make it now, because the charter review is still going through,
Right.
the alternative would be to do a text amendment at the time of the adoption of the revised charter, which may actually be more appropriate
I see.
because that process is still ongoing. So I would, if I were, just because we're at the tail end here, that would be a new change. And it's sort of a substantial change.
Yeah.
I would recommend that you let the charter review process continue the way it is. But when you bring the charter review for adoption, that you do a text amendment to your comprehensive plan at the same time.
Jane, do you have a timeline for
Yes.
the adoption of the charter review?
Yes, so we will be, the Charter Review Committee will be submitting for the City Commission's approval in April. And upon approval of all the recommendations from the Charter Review
November.
Committee, it will go to a referendum on the November 2026 ballot. So we're still a year out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
because
So
you're
we-
that far away, it's, if you were right now, and I'm sure that's probably what Lorenzo was asking, if
Yeah.
your charter review was happening at the same time we're updating, then absolutely, let's merge it. But because you're still 6 months away, I would wait and just do a text amendment.
Do a text on me later on.
Okay.
Yeah, a text amendment is a very easy
Yes.
process, so,
That's good advice. Thank you. And then a couple more questions, if you don't mind.
yeah, please.
The transportation element, Reed Street is, in my opinion, I don't know if we can back this up with data, but already seems to be at a failing level of service. So what would be some potential transportation or transit solutions that could possibly address some of that, since it's just this primary through corridor? We don't really have an option. It's the only bridge. Is there any way to address that increasingly failing level of service?
So I will tell you, just so you know, from a numerical standpoint, and again, Ed Ning from the Coordinator Group is a transportation expert, and he is the one who did your element, the transportation element. But he found no existing failing roadways.
Yeah.
In
let's
your
go. Yeah.
in your
Let's-
current horizon, within 10 years, there's likely to be failing roadways, but today, just numerically speaking, there are no. But that said, he did make some recommendation, and that's why the multimodal. So some options may be looking at, because of the bridge capacity is bridge width capacity, and it can be a bottleneck. But maybe looking at a water ferry that would help augment some transportation from one side to the other, especially tourism based. It provides a new fun thing for people to do, who may not have done it in the past. Also looking at multimodal, how can you move some of the people from cars to bike, walk, pedestrian. But a bridge like that is a bottleneck, but currently the good news is currently there is no level service standard that is failing for transportation. So there are some opportunities to work with FDOT and determine a future solution.
Did they stand out here and count?
It's the red line.
Yeah,
So Jane, the adaptive level of service is D.
Okay, so we're really close to F. Right? I wasn't that far off.
I did say within 10 years,
The
so.
current is C. That's where we are right now. So we still have reserve capacity.
Yeah.
You know, in order to, we have for probably a number of years.
Yeah.
Before we fall and we have to do something, improvements or.
Why don't we improve before we fall?
Right. Yeah.
Well, again, that's why we're bringing it to your attention that we do know that, within 10 years you will have a problem there, but currently you don't. So it may feel like it, and Ms. Wilson, you're probably accurate to say some of it has to do with the signal lighting. Too many signal lights can certainly slow down traffic and create bottlenecks as well.
Well, one thing that what I notice is, and it's got to do with turn lanes, and I'm just on the other side of the bridge. So what happens, everybody, and I pull out, and I am in the fast lane because that's where I'm coming from. But I got it figured out. I go ahead and get in the right lane because everybody is in there. So when you top that bridge, everybody's up the bridge, but there ain't nobody in the right lane. Everybody is running that fast lane. So.
Well, they're doing
it's the
that.
people, it's the drivers.
They're doing that so they can get down to 207 and turn left because there's no way to turn left on 207. Well, I mean, the same thing coming back this way. They're doing that because they want to stay over here on that side to get to where they got to go. And
So,
it just blows my mind that they're at that point that nobody's, I mean, I'm a native. I've lived here all my life, you know? And that seems to have been the problem through my life is nobody wants to look ahead. They want to kick the can down the road. And, you know,
so that is, again, that's why the plan identifies it as a roadway that you will want to think about long-term. It is also an FDOT road, so it is something you will have to coordinate with the state on, but again, that long-range transportation plan is our number one recommendation for you from this comprehensive plan. Think about the comprehensive plan as sort of a list of to-dos.
okay.
It gives you a lot of things that you will want to take on as next steps in order to implement it. And that long-range transportation plan is the number one thing that we would say is important to update as a to-do for your comprehensive plan to implement the comprehensive plan. So, and through that, you can identify more specific strategies for how to improve your roadway connections. But that long-range transportation plan is the first step.
So, if I follow correctly, you think the road's 10 years roughly before they start to fail, but the next comp plan review is in 7 years?
The next comprehensive plan is in 7 years, but a long-range transportation plan is probably warranted sooner than that. As soon, within the next probably 3 years, you want to do a long-range transportation plan.
Well, actually, it is Kathy, there is an objective in the element that requires a master transportation plan for the city to consider and adopt.
Right, which is your LRTP.
Yeah.
So that's your next step when it comes to transportation. Just say the same way with the new parks, as we talked about earlier, the parks, the next step is to update your parks plan.
Couple more questions.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, please.
And this maybe is just from just some practical advice on how to approach this issue. How do we unilaterally comply with the intergovernmental coordination requirement if, for example, we're trying to seek a boundary service area
Mhm.
agreement with the county? How can we use this requirement in the comp plan to reach that objective since we haven't been able to?
So, one thing I have talked about with Lorenzo and then prior to Lorenzo with Lisa was that your city in some parts of it has a lot of enclaves. And so looking at that boundary agreement that we've recommended is really critical because how do you serve all of those enclaves when those are officially in the county, but yet they're completely surrounded by city? And so how do you provide that services? Then also, as you look long-term in growth of Palatka, how do you bring in new lands that make sense? Where should your future boundary for the city be? So the way I would use it is we have recommended, just like we've recommended for the LRTP, just like we're recommending for a parks plan, we're also recommending that you develop a interservices interlocal with the Putnam County, and I would use that policy with the county and say, we adopted this. We need your partnership at the table to develop this. It's a benefit to them as well. Those enclaves don't make any more sense for them as it does for you.
That's right. It takes two to tango.
It does, and they need to understand that, those areas are not helping them and are hurting them just as much as they're hurting you because they're having to bring in services from outside where they're more efficiently, effectively, and cost effective to be served here by the city of Palatka.
Agreed. And just my final comment, just a suggestion, if we could incorporate, and maybe you already have, and I apologize if you already have done so, but if we could incorporate on the property rights element, the model property rights element that 1,000 Friends of Florida suggested a couple years ago.
We use that as one of the models for developing that element.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I believe there were some from the public, so I'm here for further questions.
Ms. Kitchens?
Allegro Kitchens, Palatka, Florida. I apologize, I didn't spend more than an hour and a half on this. I should have spent about 3 hours, but I found a couple of things. It's not questions, it's comments and things I think needs to be changed. Under the comprehensive plan, where economic development elements, goals, objectives, and policies, on policy 1.1, it's on page 2 of that particular section. The city shall establish a staff position such as economic development. The economic development coordinator for the city of Palatka, the economic development agent, is the Chamber of Commerce that's covered under the city code and the charter. I don't think that you can do that. One of our previous city managers tried to have himself appointed as the economic director, and that didn't work out well for him. He was gone shortly thereafter. The other thing in this same section, if you will go to section 1.1.6 on page 3, it says the city shall, that means you have no wiggle room according to former city attorney Don Holmes. The city shall establish the Palatka Main Street program, et cetera, et cetera. We did have a Palatka Main Street program. It worked for a while, then it didn't work, then it went away. You cannot have 2 Main Street programs in the same city. In the fall of, I think it was 2023, the city CRA was looking at reestablishing the Main Street program. They tabled it so they could do an intense study to find out why it didn't work before and what to do. That was in November. In January, Mr. Brett Sloan and Mr. Colin Bingham went to Tallahassee and they instituted a private Main Street program with them as one of them as the director. It's a private Main Street program for profit, and you cannot have 2 Main Street programs in the same city. I checked to find out because I knew that we were trying to do one, and they basically did an end run around the city. So I don't think you can have 2. So that probably should either remove the word the city shall establish and say the city may establish. That gives the city wiggle room. I think that, or else completely drop that paragraph. But I would just say change the word from shall to maybe or might, because shall is gone. The other thing on that same section, see, I believe is back here. Yes, on the very last part, paragraph 1.5.2. The city shall promote art events sponsored by local artist organizations. That's very good, such as the Arts Alliance of Putnam. Previously, they had said the Arts Council, and they got rid of that. I think when you specify one of the 5 or 6 arts groups in Putnam County, you are giving precedence and preference to one group. That's discrimination, and it could very well result in a lawsuit. So I would suggest drop the words such as the Arts Council and don't name a specific arts group. Just keep it as the city shall promote art events sponsored by local artist organizations and maintain an annual inventory, et cetera. But I suggest dropping the word Arts Alliance of Putnam. We have about 5 or 7 total arts groups in Putnam County, and this in Palatka, and that specifies 1, and I don't think it's fair. As a member of 2 of the others, I don't think it's fair. To housing, just a comment on that under, and it's on page 2 under policy HE 1.12. And it says providing more flexible lot size and dimensional standards to support and accommodate infill and development. Infill basically contradicts previous parts of this comp plan that call for open spaces, conservation, and trees. The majority of people that I've talked to that come here from other countries and other cities come here because of the wooded lots. They don't want to have houses side by side. That's just a comment on that. On mobility.
Ma'am, what was that policy number?
It's 1.1.2, and it's paragraph C, and it's under housing on page 2 of the housing order.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Under mobility, I only had, first of all, US 17, State Road 100, and State Road 20. That is Reed Street. And yes, it's been a problem for years. DOT controls that and the US government. I do know that DOT and the Florida legislature has been looking at putting another bridge across the St. Johns River. Hopefully that will come about. So I don't think we have to worry about Reed Street right now in particular until they remove the red lights. The reason we get in the left-hand lane coming back to Palatka is because if you don't, you can't turn to the left and get back to your home in Palatka.
You're right, yeah.
So, and then on that same thing, under mobility, under paragraph 2.1, to ensure development of a complete multimodal network to enhance general mobility based on core principles of equity, connectivity, and accessibility. the city commission had to remove the word equity because I believe the state of Florida said governments can't use equity anymore because equity is based on race and color of skin. It should be equality, not equity.
What number is that?
And,
The objectives is what one.
it's,
It's on page 7.
it's on page 7 of the mobility element, and it's, paragraph 2.1 on page 7. The word equity should be changed to equality to match the US Constitution and the Civil Rights Acts of the 1960s. And I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kitchens.
Um,
Thank you.
so the change on equality on objective 2.1 for mobility is not a problem. The housing element, that is actually a state standard, a state statute requirement. So that is, that was one, as I mentioned, there were 3 types of updates that we did. Some of them were, state required to meet current legislation, and that is a state requirement. So, I can, Lorenzo, you and I could work on it to see if there's additional change of language, but that idea has to be in here somewhere. So, and then, in the economic development element, I agree that we can add the word consider to the Main Street. The city shall consider reestablishing. I'm not sure I understood the question about the economic development coordination, because it is a consideration. It's a city shall explore, establish, or consider establishing an economic development coordinator to support activities from the various organizations. So I'm not sure on that one. I'm not sure what the concern is, to be honest. Okay, I'm curious to hear what your concern about that one is. And then the other one, I agree, not calling out that there are probably, that was a carryover from your previous policy that did call out that organization, but I agree that probably should be stricken and just leave it at local artists or organizations. Are there any other questions? Yes, of course.
Capital improvements on the back.
Yes.
For the next 5 years, planned out how much you're gonna be spending each year. We're starting with $45 million this year.
That is a question better asked of staff. We are adapting by reference, so that is a document that was provided to us by staff.
This is still a working in progress document, the Schedule A, which is required by the statute that we need to adopt every year. We need to adopt the following year. So we're still working on this. It's not the final form. This is not the form that is really required by the statute, but because of the lack of, all the turnover that we have in the city. Yeah, but basically it is the big capital improvements spending the city is going to go through the next 5 years.
So I see a lot of them are grants. Have any of those grants been affected by what's going on in Congress right now?
No, not that I know of.
Okay.
Okay, seeing no other questions, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the public who would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll move past that. At this point, we just need to approve this. Is that what we're doing? Putting our seal of approval on this as a commission, as a board?
Yeah, you need to make a motion to recommend approval to the city commission.
Okay. That being said, can I hear a motion for the approval to go on to the city commission? That's true.
If you approve it now, you don't have to change it.
It's up to you. I mean, if
Yeah.
you wanna,
Our consultant shaking her head, yes.
I don't, all of the recommendations seem reasonable to me, and I've noted which, how we'll make those changes.
Say that again.
I said,
I'm old and deaf.
no, that's okay. I should speak up at the
Well, we
microphone
knew the
anyways.
old part.
What was that?
I said, we knew the old part.
I went through each one of those and made the comments of how we could make alterations to meet the questions. So I would make a motion that includes the recommended changes as made on, as noted.
Okay.
I would agree on all of them, except I did not understand the comments about the economic development coordination.
Yeah, that was the one I'm confused on as well, because I didn't completely, so if you might want to bring her back up and ask her to clarify. Because I'm not absolutely sure what she's asking us to fix.
Come back up, Ms. Kitchens, please. Slow down a little bit.
Your wish is my command.
Let me open to that
Give us a
So
number.
what page are we
so
really
we
on?
can follow.
We are really we're under the
No, forget that.
economic
Just
development element, goals, objectives, and policies, and it is on page 2 of that section.
I know, but.
It's at the back of the, it's at,
Right, but everybody, they've got page numbers on it.
Yes.
yeah, it's page 2 of the economic development element. There isn't a page number on that specific.
Well, there's on my
Mine's
copy,
got
but
big page numbers, 135 and 186.
Yeah.
Oh,
the ones I copied, each section has pages 1 through 16, so this is policy 1.1.1
Okay, well,
under the economic development element.
55 of once.
55.
And it starts out 55 for establishing.
Yes,
Okay.
the city shall explore establishing a staff position such as economic development coordinator. I believe that contradicts the city code, which specifically names the Chamber of Commerce as the existing economic agent for the city of Palatka. And we pay them a salary every year to do that. I believe this, if it doesn't infringe on, if it infringes on it, to say the least, and it may even duplicate it. And that's why I don't think it's necessary. The economic development staff should come from the chamber, since they're the agent, not from the city.
Right, but that's by contract, so it's not guaranteed that they're always
Correct.
going to be.
That's my city charter.
No.
It's in the code.
It's that 1988 taught it.
If y'all want to leave it in and cause a problem, go for it.
Well, the policy only calls to explore. It's not that we should. It shall establish a staff position.
Then let's change the word from a
It says
shall
shall-
to may explore,
shall
and then we
explore.
got wiggle room. Let's change the word from shall to may, and we got wiggle room then.
We only required to explore.
I think if you say may explore, I think that's better than shall, then you don't have any problem with maybe being sued by the Chamber of Commerce or whatever.
If
We've
you
had
got-
problems before.
If you got shall in there, it's in stone.
That's right.
Right, to explore.
just
It's-
for
it's not
clarification.
To adopt, to establish a position. It's just for the city to
We're
consider.
not putting may.
There's nothing that precludes having more than one economic development staff member. There is a provision in the code that does designate the Chamber of Commerce as the designated economic development representative for the city for grants only. So it is not one and the same. It's not for economic development in general. It's only for grants.
I stand corrected. I apologize. I did not know the city code had been changed. When I was on the commission, Mr. Mike, I think it was when I was on the commission, Mike Simbor tried to set himself up as this economic development agent, and he couldn't do that because the city code said he couldn't do it. But, okay, so leave the shall in there. I have no problem with it. It's not my problem. I'm just pointing it out.
You gotta tighten up, maybe.
I don't care if y'all want to do it. It's not my
You
problem.
needed 3 hours, not just an hour.
I'm just trying
And a
to help offset problems that
half.
might occur. But, you know, if they want to leave it, I don't care. I had nothing better to do this afternoon than try to help the city. I'm not being sarcastic. I enjoy it.
Yeah, we know. Okay.
So my advice would be to make a motion with all of the changes except the one change to policy 1.1.1.
Do I hear motion? Oh, wait a minute.
Moves to accept most the changes that we suggested today. And recommend approval to
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion amongst the board? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. So we will move that on to the city commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Okay, staff, any staff had any comments?
Yeah, I do have a comment.
Okay.
You probably noticed that Alex is doing the meeting today. So from now on, Alex will be doing it. It's not going to be the city clerk anymore. So the planning department will be responsible for carry on the meeting, for the minutes, the notices, the package, everything.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know that. And I thank Alex, for taking this on.
I'm watching you, Alex.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate those calls, Alex.
Ms. West,
I do what I can.
you have anything?
Yeah, I do have a question though.
Yes, sir.
If I may. Do you have any preference receiving your packages in
Just by, I mean,
paper, in physical, like an agenda?
we always did that before. I mean, and when I say before, it's been years ago, a couple of years ago, we got an agenda, got it in the mail, or I came down here and got mine.
I had it left on my doorstep. I
Yeah,
was in town,
So do you want to continue doing that, or you prefer to
What's the
receive it
pleasure of the board?
electronically, or?
As long as we get it.
I like getting it by email. so
Yeah,
I
I'm
can read
fine
it before-
electronic.
By email?
That's better.
But I like having a paper reference. for-
Mine used to come to my office,
Right, and the reason.
but
I'm
it
asking
came by
is-
Pony Express too.
Good boy.
I said it came by Pony Express too.
Original
But-
is what he means.
Barney.
They still have that out there.
But I just say come in and pick mine up.
We can, if you prefer to receive it, we will hand deliver it to you
Hmm.
a week before the meeting.
Well, I don't have a problem, personally, I don't have a problem with it coming by email now that I'm used to it. I just would like a paper copy like we have here,
Yeah.
so I don't have to print out. So my
I mean,
partner in business doesn't get on to me about 300 pages of paper coming out of mine.
We should have it by Friday. I mean, I know y'all can have some late changes and.
It should be a week before.
Yeah.
Yes,
Figure that out.
that will give you enough time for you.
That wasn't Alex, so we're good with that.
Good.
I'll take up for him there.
And it's not coming, I mean, clicking on that link is fine.
Okay.
It works.
All right, if it works, then
Yeah.
The
that-
civic
not
portal,
changing.
It doesn't work half the time. The civic portal one.
I
I'd
think
rather.
we'll Get into it when I've gotten it.
Well, I'd rather have myself personally, I'd rather have it given to my personal email address, and I know that opens me up to my personal email being open to the public, but I know, but weren't you just talking about something about the city? I didn't hear all that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because that was the problem before, because the city, we didn't have our emails was set up to do that way, but none of us had our passwords, and,
I've been getting mine on my personal.
okay.
And I understand in my absence that we don't have to worry about plats anymore, correct?
That is correct.
What,
Are you retiring?
No.
No.
Okay.
I was,
who's gonna look at it?
That's a state statute.
Yeah.
We didn't do that.
I didn't say you did.
Well, you were acting like we did it because you weren't here.
That. Now it's on,
Yeah, it's really it puts a big burden on staff. Because now we are required to review, just staff review. Doesn't go to any kind of board, to review.
but
And we have 7 days to complete the review.
I can still point out screw ups.
Oh, yeah.
And then everybody's gonna look around,
Yeah.
what hell?
So you can't consult anymore, you can't.
I'm not
Yeah.
a consultant, I don't have a license.
I know that.
We still might call you.
Huh?
We still might call you.
That's right.
Yeah. We
And we
still
will.
have to review the
'Cause
plats.
that doesn't. never-
That's all I have.
Is that all you have? Alex, you have anything you want to allow there?
Nothing for now.
Nothing for now. Okay. All right. Well, seeing how that is said and done, I'm going to, at 5:04 on November the 4th, adjourn this meeting.
Make a motion to. Whatever. Done.
We are done.